So you've been reincarnated as a spider. You've fallen down to the most dangerous levels of the dungeon that you were born in. What's a girl to do? Well, get stronger and kill a lot of stuff. Hello everybody, and welcome to another light novel review. I am Justus Stone, and on this channel I cover all things light novels. I do reviews, countdowns of the best-selling titles in Japan, and as well as news, and the light novel podcast is posted here as well. So if you love light novels, or maybe you're just getting interested in them, you should consider subscribing. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing volume number 2 of So I'm a Spider, So What? This one by Okina Baba. It is released in English by Yen On. If you want to pick up your own copy, I've got links to Amazon and the book depository in the description down below. So as a quick recap, our main character, the nameless spider girl, the girl who died in our world and was reincarnated as a spider, and who spent volume number 1 just learning about her abilities and growing stronger, and then ended up kind of falling down several levels in the dungeon where she was born. And, well, life has gotten kind of tough for her. And she's decided that if she really wants her best chance of survival, she needs to work her way back up to the upper strata where the monsters are relatively weak and she can kind of just live easy. The biggest problem with that is that the middle strata that she has to try and get through is basically like a lava level, and while the monsters aren't as ridiculously strong as the earth dragon that's roaming around the 3rd level, well, they're still pretty tough, especially when our little spider girl is uber weak against fire. So it's all down to our spider girl applying gamer mechanics, and also what she's learned of her own development and abilities to this point, to try and strengthen herself so that she has her best chance at survival to get through the middle level. At the same time, in the second storyline, which we know that from volume number 1, we kind of have 2 different storylines going on. So we have our spider girl, who is arguably the main character, and then we have the storyline of our other students that were her classmates that perished with her, who have also been reincarnated into this world, and they're now going into sort of like high school level. They're about 14 or so in this volume, and it's about sort of how their school life is going. It does a lot more to expand on the world view of this series, and really it's about these characters kind of rediscovering a few more of their classmates. It's about expanding the worldview and kind of learning that, you know, if you were a dick in our world, you might be an even bigger dick in this world. Now, one of the big appeals of this book is the main character's voice. She is this incredibly sort of sassy, bit of a snarky girl who just, I do love the way that she cheers herself on and, you know, gives sort of personality to inanimate things like the divine voice that tells her that she's leveled up. I like her self-awareness. In particular, now, this volume, and I mean this happened a lot in volume number 1 as well, but in this volume she does a lot of leveling up. And of course a great deal of the book is left to this condition met. Such and such skill has leveled up from level 2 to level 3. Condition met, skill has now become blah blah blah. There's a lot of that. Like, I could probably just open to any, well yeah, I just opened to one random page and there it is. Poison attack, adds the poison attribute to attacks. I can open up to another one. Oh, proficiency has reached the required level. Like, pretty much it happens all the time. And as much as that may sound that makes this book kind of dry, it doesn't. And the main reason that it doesn't is because of the character's self-awareness, and also just how much fun she has in making use of the new skills that she learns. But in particular, we are starting to see her growth taking her in a certain direction. And that awareness of hers as those sort of skills and titles and everything else get attributed to her, it became very interesting to see her reaction to them. And her reaction to the whole idea of skills and being granted skills and all this kind of stuff. I don't want to spoil it, but it made for a very interesting moment in this book. And I really liked it, and it really made me kind of sit up a little bit and go, I wonder where this series is going now that she has that kind of self-awareness developing and awareness of the world and how the world operates developing within her. The separate story that follows her classmates, or well, former classmates, I wouldn't say it's quite as interesting overall. I mean, it feels much more light novel-ish, if you'll pardon me for saying so, but it really does kind of go more into that fantasy slice of life. Of course, it does expand more on the mysteries of what's going on in this world. Why are these classmates there? They meet up with their old teacher, who, she's a whole bundle of mysteries, and really kind of just baits them with a whole bunch of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but I'm not going to tell you the answer right now kind of stuff. There are other storylines that are going on in this book, but I don't really want to talk about them a whole lot because they would be very big spoilers, and they're just really cool, and I think you should sort of experience them without me having told you that they are going to occur. But the one thing that I will say about this volume, now in the last volume, I said that I was really getting the sense that there was a time difference between our Spider-Girl's storyline and the storyline involving her former classmates. Or like I was kind of like, I don't know whether it's a matter of some reason she's been reincarnated much later than they were, or if it's the other, or if she was reincarnated when they were, but we're following her journey from the start, whereas we're jumping into their situation when they're older. I wasn't too sure how that played out. This volume makes it very obvious that there is, in fact, a time difference between the two storylines, the two main storylines. And it is super cool. It basically gives away something that I don't really want to talk a lot about because, again, massive spoilers, but it is very interesting to see the Spider-Girl's journey and her reaction to some of the stuff that she is gaining in terms of skills, in terms of titles and everything else. And then flashing forward a good number of years and seeing perhaps some of the outcomes of those situations. Yes, we do sort of get an idea of maybe what is going to happen to our favorite spider in the future. And it just left me wanting so much more, to read so much more. In fact, in some ways, I'm almost wishing I just left this series alone and then just I could binge it, because man, the reveals that occur in this book, especially seeing as how it's only volume 2, it's going to make her journey even more interesting to me going forward. And in particular, the kind of skills and such that she's going to learn. When you get a glimpse of potentially the outcome of her future, that whole, like I said, the whole skills and leveling up and titles and everything else, it takes on a very different kind of viewpoint. You don't just view them as this, oh, yeah, you're getting OP, sure. No, but no, you start kind of seeing where it's almost like these skills are driving her towards an almost inevitable outcome. And it becomes so much more interesting. At least that was my feeling on it. And again, it's kind of cool to see the story beginning to separate a bit more, where we have sort of the Spider-Girl's journey, which is very much a solo journey, and then we have all of these other characters who is like this sort of group journey, and I can kind of wonder where they're going to go with things and how they're going to turn out. And there's still classmates that are unaccounted for, and man, there's just so much in this story that is building and building and building, and you can really feel it in this volume. Like I said, last volume, it was really fun, and I had questions about kind of how it was working out with her classmates, but this one makes it really clear what's going on and really sets up some huge stakes for all characters involved. Has a pretty like slam bam kind of near the end where you're just like, oh dang, that's gonna happen. Yeah, overall, really good book. You know, the title sounds so horribly hokey, and yet even though I get a chuckle out of the Spider Girl and how she acts and how she talks, this book is playing, I think, a little straighter than what I think I gave it credit for in the last review and when I finished the first volume. This one makes it pretty clear that this series seems to be going for a much heavier, perhaps darker tone than what I initially gave it credit. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because it seems to be building that in a really cool kind of way, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what happens in volume number 3. So those are my thoughts on volume number 2 of So I'm a Spider, So What? My next review is going to be continuing this whole let's get caught up and reduce the pile of to be read, and that's going to be number 7 of ReZero. Of course, if you've been following this channel for some time, you know that I really enjoy this series, and volume 7, we're only 2 volumes, I guess, away from being caught up basically to the anime. I could actually sit down and watch the anime now, which is, well, soon, which is kind of cool because I want to watch the anime. So that's going to be my next review. So if you're brand new to the channel and you love light novels, or you're just getting interested in them, you should consider subscribing. I do all things light novels, reviews, countdowns, and of course the light novel podcast as well. Thank you so much for joining me in this review. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, bye bye for now.